we chat to the Wolfe Tones about their 60 plus years on the road. The Wolfe Tones played a secret gig at the Faltering Fullback ahead of their upcoming Finsbury Park show, which will be their biggest and last ever UK show.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to that, and we're hoping that we'll have the biggest Irish crowd ever at Finsbury Park. And we're only looking for 35,000 out of 6 million Irish in Britain.
That's no big ask. That's no big ask, yeah. I'm sure they come from all over. Manchester, Birmingham, Coventry, all the great Irish areas in England, plus all the people around London. London is such a vast town or city that we've Irish in every area in London, and we're looking forward to seeing them all in Finsbury Park, as Brian said, July the 5th.
We've had great support from all the people, all the Irish people here, and of course their friends too that come to the show. So we're excited about it, and we're looking really forward to it.
And it's definitely going to be the biggest crowd that London has ever seen at an Irish festival. So, yeah, you got to be there or you're going to miss out. And it is our last tour, and it will be our last gig in England. So it's going to be something special, and we're going to do lots of special things for you.
Indeed. I mean, on that note, I mean, again, I don't know what the feeling is or the emotions is when it is going to be the last one. I mean, I mean, does it feel very poignant? Does it feel very sad, even? Or what's
I think it's a bittersweet moment. I think, like, you know, your emotions play with you at the time. It is the last. We've had some wonderful times across England and Scotland and Wales with the Irish clubs, the Irish scene. And it's sad to leave that all behind, but at the same time, the Wolfe Tones can't go on forever.
And we hope to leave a legacy. As most people know, we started, our first gig in London was 1965, long time ago. And since then, as Brian said, we've played all across the United Kingdom. And we've always looked forward to it. Our biggest crowds to date, probably for a couple of summers in the 80s, we did the National Theatre in Kilbourne, which was massive. And every Monday night we played there during the summer, and that was tremendous. So we built up a huge fan base. So hopefully all those people will remember those nights and come and see us in Finsbury Park.
They will.
Well, what do I say after that? Well, after 60 years on the road, I think we should definitely have to hang up our instruments, I think. Or as somebody said, decommission our instruments. And take a little bit of a break. We had a great run of it. Amazingly, the three of us got on great together over 60 years, and we're still here together, and we're still talking to each other. So, yeah, we're all. Well, I am certainly looking forward to retiring, if we could use that word. But what I'll do, I'm not sure yet.
The band are known for songs such as My Heart Is in Ireland and Streets of New York, but they could not have foreseen any of it when they started all those years ago.
It was never the plan, and the thing about the way we treated things, we took it day by day. We never planned that, next year we're going to be this or that or the other, you know, and we just took everything as it came. We were very lucky in the start of our career that we got a record contract in 1964 for 5 albums, for 5 years. We got to do 3 of them, I think, or 4 of them. But, you know, when nobody else was recording, we were the first kind of ballad room outside the Clancy's that got an opportunity to put our songs and what we are doing on record. And that was a lucky break. We were with Fontana Records, and that was a great break for the Wolfe Tones. Because when we went to America, the first time we went there, you know, people already knew your music, because they were playing it on radio over there, and they could ask for songs like, you know, the Glen Swilly or other songs that we had at the time, because they knew them from what they were playing on radio. So we were very lucky.
We worked hard also. Yeah. I mean, we went the length and the breadth of the country. When we travelled from Dublin, where we are all from, we travelled up to Donegal, home, Cork, home, Galway, home, Wexford, home. We didn't have the money or the the way about us to stay overnights in these places, which we can now. But so it was very difficult. We spent most of the time on the road. We've all been married for the same length of time, maybe 55, 56 years, to the same girls. But we're all good friends. So we're very lucky in that respect also. But we missed, I suppose, what you missed at the start was seeing your kids grow up, because you were on the road all the time. You left the house at 3 in the afternoon to go to a gig. You got home at 3 in the morning. You were in bed when the kids went to school. You were gone on your way to the next gig when they got home. So that was one of the major setbacks in the early days. But I mean, that's the way of show business. That's a lot of people, I suppose, have go through that. But never did we dream in our wildest days we'd end up where we are now, which is fantastic.
But it is something special, and I think the Wolfe Tones have been an amazing asset to the Irish communities across the world, because we told the story of Ireland when nobody else was telling it. We gave everything from an Irish perspective during the awful troubles that we had. Everybody in Ireland was blamed, and every community of Irish people were blamed for the troubles, and it wasn't their fault. So we know that the English occupation of our country caused terrible turmoil over the years, and it was difficult for people living here to express that, because they were living in a country that had, done awful things to Ireland, including the awful time that we had in the 1800s, 1840s. They called it a famine, but Ireland was full of food, as we well know. So all those things had to be put aside while they swallowed, the troubles and being blamed on the troubles. And we know the awful things that happened to some of the Irish communities, like the Guildford Four, the Birmingham Six, and all those other people. But the Wolfe Tones were always there to support them. We wrote songs about all those times, and it gave the Irish support. Someone was supporting them, and not everybody was hating them.
Although not always supported in the mainstream Irish press, the Wolfe Tones have a loyal fan base both at home, here in the UK and around the world.
Probably the main reason why our popularity has soared, especially in recent years. I mean, we've been very successful over many years, but just recently, amazingly so, because I think Irish young people, which is the main basis of our fan base right now, are young people. And they've never heard us on radio. They've never seen us on TV, or very seldom on TV. And they just realise that this music has been withheld from them. So now they can, when they see the Wolfe Tones, they realise we're telling a story that they never heard before. And we always try to involve the audience. We always try to communicate and get their involvement in our show. And I think that's helped, and all of a sudden a huge resurgence in interest from young people in Ireland about Irish music.
I think both in America, Australia, New Zealand, all the places across the world where the Wolfe Tones have spread the message and story of Ireland, was important to them that somebody was telling it. Because remember, they tried to rewrite history in the 80s and 70s and 80s, and to try to deny their history to the young people in their schools. And the Wolfe Tones were out there criticising these moves. We were out there fighting for the Irish people, that they could sing their own songs with pride, tell their own story with pride, and not be held down by anybody. And it's important that I think, that's why the Irish people loved the Wolfe Tones, was because we were the only ones at the time. Other people were afraid to tell the story. They get banned on radio, you wouldn't get this, you wouldn't get that. We were not afraid of that. We told the story despite the fact that we are blacklisted all over the place. And something, if we had it all over again, we'd do it again. I don't think it's important. I don't think the money is important. The message is important. The story is important. The freedom to speak and tell his story is highly important. So that's what the Wolfe Tones are about.
There was a time when Special Branch warned them about going north in the dark days of the Troubles. Brian also believes the Wolfe Tones were the intended target of the Miami show band Massacre. The song Celtic Symphony has been in the headlines in recent years, with Joe Duffy accusing the group of glorifying violence.
I remember when the Joe Duffy guy got on about when I was on that show, and he almost blamed Celtic Symphony and the likes of the songs that we were singing as murdering children. And we never murdered anybody in our lives. We were nearly murdered ourselves, but never had any intention of injuring or hurting anybody. The story of Ireland has always been a peaceful one. And, the violence was brought to our country. The violence was brought to Belfast. It wasn't brought from Belfast. People stood up and fought against that. They fought to defend themselves and their communities, just as they're trying to do now in Gaza. And that's why I think, Palestine is very important to the Irish people, because we suffered as well. And we understand the suffering more than anybody else. We have great empathy with these communities across the world. And so, it hurts the Irish heart, the Irish feelings when we see something like that. It brings us back to our own history and the awful things we had to go through. And remember, we were going up to, the 6 counties during the Troubles. We got harassed many times, and we were almost killed at one stage just before the Miami were killed. And I believe we were the original target. We were up in County Down, and luckily enough we had friends who understood that we could be under threat, and they brought us over the mountains of Moran, down to Warrenpaint, and we got out safe. But it was the Glenanne gang which killed the Miami, and it was the same people. We looked in from the kitchen. We weren't allowed into the bar at the time. We looked in from the kitchen and we could see RUC guys, we could see UDR type guys, all in uniforms, and they were all there and getting drunk and everything else. And there was that setup was there for us, and they probably would have put a bomb in their van and blamed us in carrying bombs for the IRA or something like that. But we were lucky that we got away with that and we came home, and it wasn't the only lucky one we had. We had a few narrow ones as we went through the Troubles, but it never stopped us supporting the people.
Indeed. I mean, do you want to add? That must have been scary at the very least, whether it was scary at the time or looking back on it. But
we are young, and you're kind of invincible when you're young. Another time, like people said, never stop for a dodgy checkpoint, and I said, what's a dodgy checkpoint? Well, he said, they won't have a big setup, to be 2 or 3 fellas with a lamp or something like that. So we're coming out of Omar one day, and I'm driving at the time. Tommy was beside me, and I was in the back. And I see this little checkpoint coming with a fella with a torch. Right, so at the spur of the moment, I said, this doesn't look right. And I put the foot down, and I must have travelled through. They jumped out of the way. I must have travelled through at 100 miles an hour. And Tommy woke up and he goes, what's going on? What's going on? I said, I just broke a checkpoint. He said, well, don't fucking stop now. And we didn't. But that's the dodgy times you had, and it was tough. And you can laugh at them now, but they weren't laughable matters.
Sorry, Tommy, you were just...
Well, the one thing you didn't do was tell your wife either. We didn't tell the girls all the times we... I remember being picked up in Emmyvale. We were doing another gig up in Ballinamore, and being picked up in Emmyvale and being put in the back of a van, and hay being put on top of me and my guitar. Like, we were all being brought up the north, in separately.
Different ways,
and different guys were bringing us up. Yeah. And it was just clandestine, if you like to use that word. Yeah. But we didn't, as Brian said, we were young, we didn't feel vulnerable, and of course we were, obviously.
I don't think we realised the danger we were in at the time. We were doing what we wanted to do, as Brian said, supporting the people of Northern Ireland, and we never shirked on that anyway. But it got to the stage that then we couldn't bring our own cars up because of the southern reg, because of some of the areas we'd be going through. So we always had a car pick us up at the border and leave our car there. They'd take us to the gig and then they'd take us back. And that's how we got through it, the Northern Ireland Troubles at the time.
The band's popularity has seen a resurgence, particularly amongst a younger audience in recent years. They will play the main stage of this year's Electric Picnic, after crowds squashed to get into the tent for their set at last year's festival.
Amazing, and it amazed us. We were very humbled by the fact that so many people came out at the Electric Picnic last year. We had 15,000 in the tent and 35,000 outside it. And I think people were caught by the fact that we had so many people turning up for the show, but we weren't, because we knew there was a surge amongst young people in the popularity of the Wolfe Tones. We knew that was there, had been there for 10 years or so before that. But most people were afraid because the Wolfe Tones were ignored. We were ignored in both the radio and press and every other way. So when it came to light that the Wolfe Tones had a huge crowd in Electric Picnic, everybody was amazed. We weren't.
So we're hoping to replicate that now in Finsbury Park. We're going to hope to have thousands of Irish fans. I'm sure we will. All the young people, every age, but they're mostly young people, our fans. So hopefully we see them all in Finsbury Park.
Is it really the end? Or could they be tempted out of retirement for the odd show?
I think we discussed this now before, and I said to Tommy, he said, well, would you come back for one next year? He said, I'd come back if we do Croke Park. I don't know whether we'll ever do Croke Park or not, but that was one point. But it means that the door is never closed. But, you know, we've enjoyed everything. We've enjoyed all the gigs. We have everything to look forward to this year. It's humbled by the crowds, and you know, it's a great way to end your career. If we are ending our career, I'd say the way to go out, it's, you know, the strongest way you could ever finish off something. And it's our pride to have have been supported by the Irish people all over the world throughout the 60 years we've been together. They never gave up on the Wolfe Tones, and the radios might have, and RTE might have. There's one sure thing: the people of Ireland never gave up on the Wolfe Tones.
Definitely.
You'll never beat the Irish.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. We're going out in a high, but you can't really do any better than that. We're going out on the biggest stage probably in Ireland. The many stages in Ireland. We're doing lots of big festivals, and we're finishing up in October in the Tree Arena. A couple of nights there, and they're all sold out. They were sold out within hours. So it's a great way to go out. And as I say, if the opportunity arises, we may come back and do one more. You never know. It's a great time to stop.
Yeah,
it's a great time to stop. This is going to be a fantastic year for us. Yeah. We've Finsbury Park, we've Galway open there, we've Kilkenny, we've Cork open there, we've the Féile in Belfast, we've Glasgow coming up, we've the Tree Arena coming up, we've the Odyssey in Belfast. This is an unbelievable year for the Wolfe Tones, and what a great way to finish.
Yeah, and it's out everywhere.
As I said, if the Croke Park comes up next year, well, we'll see.
And from the Irish world and from yourself, thank you very much and best of luck.
Oh, and thank you. And thank you all the wonderful supporters we have out there around England, around the London area, and we look forward to seeing you all at the biggest crowd ever.
Yeah.
July the 5th in Finsbury Park.
That's it. That's the important thing.
Be there.
That's the important thing.
The Wolfe Tones play Finsbury Park on 5th of July. They'll also be joined by the Undertones, Sharon Shannon, The Scratch, The High Kings, Brògeal and Niall McNamee.